This is Smith Welding. I'm Adam Niffen. I'm your host. Stroll around the shop with us. Check out what we got in here today. It's always fun and interesting. Alright folks, it has been really an uneventful week. We got a lot of shit done, but nothing worth showing. Now, I got something worth showing. We're doing a rust repair on a 2000 Mazda Protege. Now, if you're from the Midwest, Rust Belt area, whatever, you know these little buggers, these little four doors, they rot out to the front of the rear wheel. So we're going to zoom around and look at this. We got this rust. The big JC cut it out. And by that I mean Jeremy Cocaine.
Yep.
He cut it out. He's treated it with navel jelly. We'll grind it down a little bit. The shop acquisitioned a new piece of equipment this week because we had to. We needed it, literally. Shrinker stretcher from Harbor Freight. Sidebar. A little side note. Planishing hammer. I got some footage and stuff that I will be able to furnish you folks soon. I was fabricating the outer wheelhouse for the Monte Carlo last week and it took a shit. So bad the bit actually jammed up in the hammer. I put a big ass chisel on it and smacked it with an 8-pound sledge and I couldn't drive the bit out of the hammer to dismantle the hammer off the frame. We took it back to Harbor Freight and in my infinite wisdom I forgot the receipt here at home, here at the shop. They were super cool. They know us well enough in there, at least by sight, and they took care of the problem. They just took care of it. So now what I'm working on, and I may actually have to cut a different piece. It's larger flanges. Looking at this part, but what we're looking at right now is shrink and stretching. I used the brake that I made to bend the steel. I pass this off to Jeremy to play cameraman.
Notice.
Alright, so this was a piece of steel that I cut and bent with the brake. Started shrinking and stretching it. We stretched it along this radius. Shrunk it along here. What it's giving us is this right here that we need. Oh, so badly. And the trick's going to be we'll stretch it along here some more to bring that radius around naturally where it needs to be. We want this dimension the same all the way around. I use a piece of strap steel, basically scrap like this, to get a basic template cut or bent. So I had this shape. But that's where we're at so far. As you can see, when I line this up in here, we're mostly correct. We got to get this brought around up here. So we're going to go over to the stretcher and I'll show you how we bring this section around. I did not opt to buy the stand that these go with. I would have liked to have, but it's more money. This is the shrinker. This is the stretcher. I put them on 1 3/8 pipe so I can clamp them in a vise. So now we want to stretch this to bring it around that radius. When you're doing these, you don't feed it all the way in. You just want to catch the last half to third. I'm not applying maximum pressure. There I did. And that should have brought that around enough. Let's go see if it fits. There's a lot of this from the bench back to the car action. I think that's going to be acceptable for the inner structure that's gone. You see I've got a chunk here that's rusted out. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. Yeah, go. That's going to give us pretty much everything we need for this wheel arch assembly. We'll get it tacked in place. Then we can start crafting the outer wheel arch. We cut it right on that line, which I hate doing, but it was the best option this time. We'll come back in a little bit. Good evening. So, yeah, shop's a mess. Get the fuck over it. We're on this Mazda. I'm gonna show you what I got going on. Alright, kids. There's that section. I got it stitched in there real good. I'll 415 it. I'm actually gonna seam seal on the back side where it laps in that little bit. I'm about to weld through primer here. I want some corrosion protection back there, right? Right? Okay. Much more than it probably needed. We don't care. Be liberal with that shit. I accidentally stretched it too far and split it. I got the welder out. Guess what I'm gonna do? So we got that fitting up there damn close. See that? I may actually have to draw that. I think I got too much arch on it. I'll have to get this shrinker out and pull that back. You can play with them left and right. Just a little bit. So right here, I'm gonna actually draw it back together where I split it. Alright, so we got a piece of steel that needs niggled around a little bit. Like I showed you, right there at that point, I need to shrink it back up. I got the shrinker, head in now. You don't want to throw it all the way in. You want to work your way around that outside 5/16, then work your way back in. And when you take big chomps on a flange like this, you take big chomps and it straightens it all out for you. I just nibbled a little bit. I'm going to check it. One more nibble in that area should pull it back around true. I got a little overzealous. For anybody looking on and watching, I never even laid eyes physically on a set of shrinker stretchers till this morning. I sent Jeremy. Jeremy lives south of Des Moines. The only Harbor Freight we have is on the south side, very south side of Des Moines. He grabbed it on his way home. I scooted him out of here early, left him on the clock to run shop errands, being that it right there. I never laid eyes on one of these gadgets before this morning when I unpacked them. I've never used one before. The driver's side pieces I started making, I screwed those up a little bit. We'll take a look at those in a little while, see if I can rectify what I've got, or if I just need to scrap it and start over. I think I'll end up cutting the sections instead of full patches like this, one piece. I'll cut them up and use sections of them. It wasn't the technique or the application, it was my measuring, or lack thereof. So we got this piece, we're pulling it true. Okay. So at this point, we're in like Flynn. It's going to take tapping and a little bit of hammer work. bring it around true as we weld it into place. So I'm gonna get a couple of my body hammers. We got it all ready to weld up. I got the welder over here. I got the car unhitched so we're not frying the electrical system. So let's get on this. That's a big ass hammer. I don't need him in action yet. Damn it. Just call me shaky hands. Can't trust me with shit. I'm a bad role model. You hear that? Me, bad role model. I just do what I do, man. There's a hole in this glove. You want to know how I found it?